Your program basically changed my life. I was laid up in bed for over a year. I could barely walk to the end of the driveway.
That's Matt. He is a student inside of my Strength and Pain Relief Accelerator program. Today I get the pleasure of interviewing him, sharing his chronic back pain relief story. He came into my world with a lot of issues with his spine, herniated discs, bulging discs, annular tears, intense sciatica that kept him bedridden. He's gonna share his story. He's gonna show you what he did to get out of it and what life is like now that he has complete control over his symptoms. Let's just kind of start off with, if you could give us a brief synopsis of where you were at before you came into the program. So more or less, like, what is your back pain story? What happened? What did the doctors say that you had going on?
In June of 2020 was when this started. So I was extremely active. My son was doing karate, and I started getting into karate with him, and he kind of moved away from it, and I stayed in it. It's a very high impact type of sport. Lots of jumping, lots of jumping jacks, I was running, but I was doing a couple hundred crunches every day, a couple hundred push-ups every day. I was running. I was doing my karate classes 4 or 5 hours a week. And I had this weird thing start happening. And this is why I struggled so much with the entire process, was my foot started going numb. Month in and month out kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse, to the point I basically had to stop all my activity. My entire foot and my entire leg, very little back pain, but it was typical sciatica, odd sensations in your leg. Basically, I had a bulging disc at 4.5, to the point that they called it a herniation because it was so large. It wasn't the true definition of a herniation, but the bulge was that large. And then at 5S1, I had another large bulge, and both of these were midline bulges, and I had what's called an annular tear. So I had a very, very, very large annular tear. I think if I remember right, it was 20 millimeters.
Wow.
Tear in my L5S1, which is basically a true herniation getting ready to happen.
Right.
And what was explained to me was that the inflammatory agents inside of my disc had leaked out onto my nerves, and that was what was causing my symptoms, along with the bulges. I went and saw a surgeon, a spine surgeon. He said he couldn't do anything with me. He really wasn't the best doctor. I went and saw a pain specialist. That's where we started treatments. So we started, the typical medical model type stuff. We did epidurals, 2 epidurals with that pain specialist, and neither of those worked at all. We were doing all kinds of medication, of course, and the pain was just unbearable. And nothing would touch it. The epidurals didn't touch it. The medication didn't touch it. I did PT, conventional PT, for maybe 6 weeks, but every time I would leave there, I was in more pain than when I started. And I think it was because physically I was fairly fit, and my physical therapist was trying to have me do more than I probably should have do. And I also learned that there were a lot of things that were making things worse. And then I did several months of aqua therapy. So I was in a pool with a physical therapist 3 days a week. That had to have been at least 4 months until we graduated back to conventional physical therapy. Got a little better, but nowhere near where I wanted to be as far as that goes. Okay. And then that's kind of where I found you.
Can you kind of pinpoint any specific time or content around certain topics that you were like, okay, this is a game changer for me? Yeah.
We started with the Accelerator program. Is that correct?
Yep.
Where it was me and you one-on-one.
Yep.
I think we did that for 2 whole rounds. Things that were aha moments to me was, number one, you told me to slow way the heck down.
Yep.
I was trying to do everything I could to get out of pain, instead of just slowing down and letting my nerves calm down. And everybody wants to talk about like the muscle side of chronic back pain, but until they've really had nerve pain, I don't think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get me to stretch and, all of this, but it was really my nerves, not my muscles. You talked to me when we first started out about my brain, and about when someone's in chronic pain, which I had been in for well over a year, that your brain creates neural pathways because it's efficient.
Right.
Your brain is efficient. It wants to make things as easy as possible. So if you're in pain all the time, it's just going to tell you you're in pain all the time. So we actually did some things and I'm like, this is weird. Because I was ready to do whatever work it took.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about your noodle first. And that was a big aha moment. The stretching thing was a big aha moment because you and I talked about the fact that your spine isn't designed to be this flexible thing.
Yeah.
It is designed to be, your muscles are to encase it and hold it in place. It's more about stability and less about flexibility. Okay.
Yep.
Because flexibility really got me to where I was, which was in horrible pain. So it's really about stabilizing the spine versus moving. So that was another aha moment. You used the word catastrophize, I think. And that's what I was doing. I mean, it was just horrible, and it was just all in my brain, a big portion of it.
Yeah.
But the stability versus mobility was a big thing. Taking things slow, taking it one step at a time, rethinking how I do simple things like bending over. All of those were aha moments to say, I've tried everything else on YouTube, and it's time to move on with something different.
Today, what do you find yourself continuing to work on when it comes to keeping yourself where you are right now?
I don't know. It's weird. Every now and then I have to pinch myself because I don't have any pain. And I mean, this has been, I had a setback about 6 months ago. Every now and then I have a little twinge of something, but it's weird. And I think it's because, and you said this, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm committed to this program.
Yeah.
And I'm in the gym 4 times a week, at least an hour and 15, if not an hour and a half, because I can't live like I was living before. I think the biggest thing that I see people hold back on is the financial constraints of this. And I'm not saying you're outrageously expensive or anything like that, but as humans, we don't want to spend money on things that we can find on our phone.
Yeah.
And the difference with you, and I found this with karate too, is that I aligned with senseis that were really, really good at what they did. And basically, by aligning myself with those coaches, I was able to excel in what I was doing in less amount of time. I went through this entire kind of odd place trying to find relief. And I think if I had found you earlier, I would have been better quicker. You know, I don't mind paying for a good coach. If I had anything to tell anybody, number one, I would align with a good coach, which you are. And I would be okay with paying the money because I would have paid anything to get out of pain quicker that first year. And I think a lot of people struggle with trying to find the right person. And I don't think they understand that aligning with somebody that really knows what they're doing. And I'm not trying to build you up too much or anything. Somebody that really knows what they're doing gets you there quicker.
Yeah.
And that's critical. So if I were to tell anybody, every dollar that I've spent is well worth every penny.
I had one more question. What would you say has been the most exciting result that you find yourself like, oh my gosh, like I get to do this again, or I can experience this in this specific way because I no longer deal with the pain that I used to? Can you identify 1, 2 like major things?
I can identify lots of things. I mean, your program basically changed my life. I was laid up in bed for over a year. I could barely walk to the end of the driveway. That was my whole thing. How could I get to the end of the driveway and back inside? And then I would try to go a little bit further. I can do everything now. I'm able to get out and work with the guys that I work with. I am able to sit in a chair and do the things I do. I'm able to stand. I can go on vacation again. I can do things with my son and my wife. All of those things that chronic pain just robs away from you is all back again. So if you ask for one thing, it's all of those things. But I love hitting the gym. It's such a big part of my life.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And Matt, you've earned it. I mean, you've been a very active member just on your own free time. And when you were putting the work in and making the investments and stuff, like, so it's not because there's some secret stretch or exercise that you were missing out on. It's just you needed a plan, a pathway, and accountability and coaching. And the most successful students that I have, and I get the pleasure of interviewing a lot of people now with this, is they put in the work. They trusted the process. They took themselves through what their body ultimately needed. And that's very different for every person. But if I can get you to buy into the mindset of like, this is my body, my journey, my process, flare-ups might happen, setbacks might happen, little tweaks might happen. It's all still there. Like I said, your brain, those neural connections to being in chronic pain are still there. We've just created a new path for your brain to function off of. You've had an awesome story, man. I really appreciate you just sharing it today. I really do.
I want people to know they have hope, because when I was there, I couldn't find those people that were like me.
Yeah.
You know, they had all these different things, and I was like, where's the person that's like me? And you know, you were able to help me through all that. So I mean, it's awesome, man.
Cool, man. Well, I'm pumped to continue to be a part of your process. And if there's anything I can help you with, man, just reach out.
I really hope Matt's story was able to encourage you to continue to seek help. Don't give up. Don't think that if I just keep pressing into the thing that's not getting me results, that eventually it'll spit out results, because that's just not how it works. If you feel like you are stuck, if you feel like you've tried everything, you feel like you want to do this holistically, you want to learn how to heal yourself, put control back into your own hands when it comes to your long-term relief strategy, reach out. There's a link in the description box below this video. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. That'll give us an opportunity to just have a basic conversation around where you are, what you tried, and what you need to be doing in order to see the results that you want to get. Or maybe you just want something that you can take action on right now, learn a little bit more about me and my process. Well, I've got a free gift for you. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. In that free guide, I walk you through exactly how you should be structuring your workout routine. If you have a history of back pain or surgery and you're making it worse by following the workouts that you're doing, grab this free guide. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It'll blow your mind and give you so much education and actionable steps you can take in structuring your workout that's going to be the best fit for you, eliminate your sensitivity, but more importantly, learn how to exercise and be confident in what you're doing despite your back pain history. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.